listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
White Wall Breakdown, take 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to the White Wall Sessions Radio. I'm your host, Steve Zastro. On this week's episode, the soul-folk country songs of Nashville-based duo Adrian and Meredith, Minneapolis-based blues rock band, the Fattenin Frogs. Also, later in the hour, the alternative Minnesota rock sounds of Ian Hilmer's Drivestation. To hear more on these artists, as well as other artists featured on the program, visit www.thewhitewallsessions.com. Adrian and Meredith are a soul-folk country duo from Nashville, Tennessee. Adrian's storytelling abilities couple cohesively with the pair's genre-defying stylings, with influences from pre-war jazz to post-punk. The duo is Adrian Kurgowski on guitar and vocals and Meredith Brown on fiddle, mandolin, and vocals. Although not with them on the day of their White Wall performance, the duo is often joined by friends and fellow musicians during their performances. Adrian and Meredith have one album released to date titled Rome.
Told me to sit back and wait for the other careers to blossom to take, for the other rock stars to graduate. You know me, that ain't my style, but you know what, I'll fake. Ain't thank you cards or birthday cakes. When the time runs short, this time is late, like a prince on the promenade. You've been caught before in a million different dreams, smoking and broken heart, the song that it might sing. But I've been right behind and left you there, the starting line, beating drum and the daily grind of whatever clips your wing. There's a hole in the story, it seems, running on other people's dreams, chasing the kings and the queens of the country. What do you believe? Look them in the eye like they're listening, you might say they don't know what they're missing, and we both know it's bold-faced fraud. And you've been caught before, a million different dreams. Keep strumming that old guitar till you find out what they mean. But I've been right behind, left you there the starting line, beating drum and the daily grind, and whatever clips your way. When it's all day it made it down. I know words, if only I had felt so lonely to see him through. And write the on this wood, this string, this glue. And falling slowly, yeah, with nights that know me like you do. Oh, you used to do, yeah, you used to do. They told me to sit back and wait for the other queens blossom to take, for the other rock stars to graduate. You know me, that ain't my style. Let's go.
Excellent. All right, tonight, once again, we are here with Adrian Grzykowski and his lovely wife, Meredith.
Meredith,
Did
yes.
I say that right? Grzykowski?
Kragowski, yeah,
Kragowski.
you got it.
Kragowski. Okay, good. And you guys came all the way from East Nashville. You guys are kind of touring around the Midwest right now?
We are. We're out for about 10 days and doing a festival and a couple shows and then a couple of like studio sessions, like White Wall sessions, and a day trotter. So
Cool, and you're on your way to Wisconsin from here?
we are. We're going to be at a 4-day festival called Mile of Music in Appleton, Wisconsin. Yeah.
All right, well, let's start with you, Adrian. How long have you been in the music business? I mean, did you play music as a young kid, or did you get into it a little later in life?
I've been playing music pretty much my whole life. My mom was a church organist. My grandmother was a church organist. My first instrument was an accordion, and that's not really public knowledge, so I don't know why I'm saying this right here. But I've been playing music my entire life, and then I like to call it getting bit by the bug. I got bit by the bug right after college and started writing my own songs and started performing them and touring around doing that and chasing the dream ever since.
Before that, like when you were in high school, did you play like the punk rock type stuff?
We did, yeah. Right. We definitely. My buddy Chris Kalaje had a drum set in his basement, and he was the first drummer in town that I knew. And I would go down, and we had no sense of rhythm at all, but we did know how to make noise. We were loud at what we were doing.
That's the main thing at that age.
Yeah.
Enthusiasm and noise.
Noise was definitely
Over
I think,
talent,
the primary drive, yeah.
All right, how about you, Meredith? You told me when we were getting set up here earlier that you played violin a long time, you like in orchestra in school and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your musical upbringing.
Yeah, I mean, my family was kind of musical, but not really. But I was in second grade, and somebody brought the violin in for like a show and tell day. And I went home that day and said, Mom, I want to play the violin. That's it, done. And I bugged her for over a year, and then she finally realized it wasn't going away and signed me up for lessons. And that was in third grade, and I've been playing ever since. Did classical all through high school and college. When I got to college, I discovered fiddle music, mostly old time, a little bit of bluegrass, but mostly old time. And then it was game over from there. Went out to D.C. after that, where I met Adrian. He introduced me to this insane world of singer-songwriters and what it's like to drive around the country. And that's when I got bit by the bug. And now here I am, just driving around.
Just driving around. We just drive around.
You said that earlier. All you do is
Yeah.
drive around, and the gigs are secondary, right? It's about
Yeah.
driving from
Yeah,
point A to
really.
point B.
I mean, every once in a while they pay you to see the world. Every once in a while they decided to throw you some bucks and say, okay, keep doing it.
All right. So how long did you guys play together before you actually got married?
The other way around, actually.
The other way around.
Yeah.
The other
so
way
we-
around.
Okay.
We started dating, and we kind of always knew that music was definitely a high potential, and so we kind of. I don't think it was an official rule; it was an unofficial rule that we didn't play music together for the first year of dating, because
It was
we
more
just
than a year, but
maybe
yeah.
more than a year, because we wanted to make sure the relationship was good first.
We've seen a lot of disasters, and we didn't want to be one of them.
You know,
So,
Fleetwood Mac and such.
Well, I was going to ask you this, and I want to be careful how I phrase this question.
Go
but
for it.
It's an awful lot of time together. Most people don't work together, drive together 12 hours to work, and, I mean, you guys are always together for the most part. I mean, when you're
We
on
are.
tour at least.
Yeah.
And does it, I mean,
Do
obviously.
I ever get sick of her?
No. I wasn't going there. I was kind of going the other way around. You get sick of him, but,
I
you know.
mean,
Look
I guess
at
the
me.
question
Come
applies
on.
to either.
Who
No,
can get sick of this face?
I think for us on the road, it's really helpful to, we're both musicians, and it's really easy to think that it's exactly the same, but it's not. His relationship with songwriting is very different than my relationship with my instrument as like a musician, as an instrumentalist, kind of more of a session player. So I think we just find our own individuality, and I go for runs in the morning and say peace out, and
I find the notebook and
we find our time apart, and we'll drive in silence a lot too, and that's really sometimes the best times.
Yeah.
So
I know a lot of songwriters around the country that listen to comedy or NPR or where the podcast is popular now, but a lot of musicians don't listen to music in the car because they're
Right.
pretty much just sick of music by that point. So.
All right. So that leads to something I did want to talk about. For the most part, you write these songs by yourself?
Yeah, I think that I definitely give it a primary set of lyrics and a primary set of chords, and I mean the arrangement is open arms, definitely. But every once in a while, I'll give Meredith like a cue as to like, hey, I'm thinking maybe more vaudeville-esque style fiddle on this or more country-esque fiddle on this. And that's pretty much the only heads up I give you.
Any of the co-writing that comes in after the basic lyrics and chords have been set. Every once in a while, he'll tinker around with some chords, and I'll say, hey, I really like that. And he'll be like, really? I was about to scrap it. And I'm like, no, I think it's good. But still, I mean, the words are all Adrian's. I am not a poet. I will never be a poet. I was never meant to express myself in words. So that's all him. But I think that the music is becoming more collaborative as we move forward, which is really fun. The new stuff is a better reflection of that. And the old stuff, I'm definitely writing parts around what already existed. And now we kind of get to, I see it from the very beginning and kind of get to have it in my ear, and that's
well, you have your
fun.
spin on things. I mean, the general direction where the songs go, just your presence in which I'm still kind of formulating where this takes, what direction it takes. You're around for, so then you have a piece of it as well. So.
I am the sun, I bring the horizon now. Bring the horizon, the moon is still young. Old kingdom come, basement is burning, your soldiers are learning. Beat my drum. Ground zero, day one, the building's left standing. Witnesses dance and freedom's begun. Black sky up ahead with smoke in my lungs like this work is demanding. Can't see when we speak plain in the old mother tongue. Just hold it together. From the hills to the slum, the old and the young, the ones who are still birthing. Legions returning with pitchforks and guns. Now a song never sung, the words coming up safe from the journey. Fire bright burning for I will return. Hold it together. Pressure man. Keep on again. Time for warning. Townsfolk below. Time for warning. Well, we already know. All jokes aside, we're both provide when the world's concerned. The world kept on turning, spinning and spiraling, yeah. Slaves for sinners now, fight alongside the soldiers returning. Sick from the serving, like heroes, like pride and hold it together. Pressure man, keep on the lever. See this again, see this again.
The Fattenin Frogs are a blues rock sextet based out of Minneapolis. Born out of the love for the backroads music of America's past, the band plays rock and roll in the original spirit. The Fattenin Frogs are Paul DeLong on bass and vocals, Michael Lloyd on guitar, piano, and vocals, Chris Holm on guitar, harmonica, banjo, and vocals, Amanda White on kazoo and lead vocals, Danielle Schofield on vocals, and Mark Larson on drums. The band has 2 albums released to date, 2011's self-titled and 2013's 12 Bars.
Goodbye, my sweet babe. Goodbye, my sweet babe.
All right, once again, here tonight on the White Wall Sessions from Minneapolis, it's the Fattenin Frogs. And again, thank you guys so much for coming in and sharing your awesome music with us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, first things first, let's have Amanda White, since she is a local Sioux Falls girl. Why don't you introduce all the members and tell us what they play, if you would.
I'll just go down the line here. First, we have Bill Lloyd on the end. He's our drummer. And then we got Chris Holm next to me here. He is on the guitar, harmonica, singing too. And then on the other side of me, we have Michael Lloyd, Bill's brother. He jumps back and forth between the keys and the guitar. Next to him is Danielle Schofield, the lovely Danielle, on backing vocals. And then we have Paul DeLong over there on bass. And then he jumps on the guitar a couple too.
How about just a kind of a short history of the band? I know there's been some other members and stuff. Just kind of go through a short history of it and how the present lineup came to be.
The band basically started because our regular drummer, who is currently on the disabled list, Mark Larson, he had this idea to find out what the music that all the guys that we listened to when we were growing up, what they listened to. So we found a bunch of old, we got as much old blues and old country and old, rock and roll and old, even early gospel, early jazz stuff. And we just started listening to that and, put a band together around it. Found another guy that wanted to do the same thing, and we started with a trio. And then just the band kind of evolved, went through some stages, brought in some female singers, and then just initially as backing singers on our first album, and then we became, brought on a female lead singer, and then Amanda came on and took her place eventually, and
Yeah.
Bless you.
Mike came in, so it's just kind of it evolved organically, I would say. But I mean, it started out as just a little trio fun project, and as we went along.
All right, very good, very good. The kind of music you guys are playing, I mean, you cover a lot of ground. Some of it's kind of like jump blues, swing blues. One tune was a real steamy, slow burner kind of a thing, and that PAUL tune kind of starts off with kind of a real badass second line beat. Do you guys get a lot of dancers at your gigs? I mean, like swing dancers and stuff like that?
I think whoever wants to come up in the front and dance, it's like the kind of music we play, it's very inviting to that sort of, I mean, it's not like specific swing dancers, it's just people who are at the show and, they get a couple of drinks and then they hear us play a kind of an up-tempo number, and then before you know it, like, you got like a whole crowd of people up front, and that really like drives us to bring the energy up, which brings their energy up, so it's like a nice little sort of relationship between the crowd and the band,
Right. Gets pretty hot and sweaty by the end of the night, I imagine.
Oh, yes.
And it's got to be fun to play this kind of music, too. I mean, you guys aren't shoegazers. You guys are really getting into it. I mean, and on that slow tune, I was watching everybody, and everybody kind of was concentrating real hard. And, I suppose you're listening to what everyone else is playing. And,
Right.
Yeah, we play a style of music that's not really, we don't necessarily play totally structured out, memorized parts. It's all, I mean, every time we play a song, it's a little bit different. So, there's a lot of listening involved and a lot of just playing off each other involved. Sometimes songs will have a completely different structure from one gig to the next, and that's the way we like to do it. It keeps it interesting rather than go up there and just have a memorized set that you play every night that's the same and that you try to just exactly replicate.
So I noticed you had several different lead singers. Is it generally the person that's singing lead wrote that song, or is that not necessarily the case?
When it's an original, typically. There's a couple, though, that you wrote that I sing, like Going to Chicago. There's probably a couple more I can't think of as well.
Do you guys write together, or does everyone kind of write separately and bring a song into rehearsal?
It's a little of both, probably.
Depends,
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a lot of jams where we just kind of will jam on something and someone will just have a vocal idea and then they'll just kind of take the lead. Other times, like I know Chris does a lot of writing on his own. He'll just come in with a song idea and then we'll kind of, bring our parts in to complement what he has as an idea. So it varies,
And everybody gets, I imagine when you get around to finalizing an arrangement before you're going to record, everybody is that pretty democratic? Everyone has ideas they throw in?
I would say so. I'd say the person who wrote it, they kind of have like the veto power a little bit, is kind of how it goes. Yeah. But we're really a democracy, and we try to, everybody gets to have a little bit of their thumbprint on it and have their input heard. Mm-hmm.
How do you guys work out your vocal arrangements? Is anybody like schooled in it, or do you guys just kind of get together and try some stuff out, see what sticks?
I was in choir up until college and did a little bit. I'm a teacher as well. Did a little bit at school, but that was unstructured. But really, it's kind of fly by the seat of our pants. I mean, we kind of, one person starts something, somebody throws something on top, we try a couple things. Oh, hey, try this. Now you try this. Now I'm going to try to stack on there. It's a little bit like Spinal Tap at Elvis's grave,
Says my baby love.
Baby left me. New place to dwell. It's like an ear.
Sometimes it just organically happens too. I mean, like sometimes, because we keep everything pretty loose, like maybe that we're playing a show and we're playing a song that we played several times, and all of a sudden someone just has an idea and they just go for it, and that becomes part of the song. So it's not always in practice that these things even happen.
I like to surprise Danielle sometimes and do a different harmony on things. And she looks over at me like, oh yeah.
Yeah, like the other day on that one song. I can't even think of it right now. Yeah, I just tried something different, and you looked over, you're like, yeah, that's good, that works. Yeah, make a note of that for next time.
Where have you been?
Ian Hilmer's Drivestation is an alternative rock band based out of Mankato, Minnesota. Fronted by Ian Hilmer on acoustic guitar and vocals, the band is Scott Yankee on bass, Neil Gunn on keyboards and accordion, and Pat Dalton on drums. Inspired by the sights and sounds of the road, Ian's songwriting teeters between the sorrow of missing home and the rejuvenating feeling of travel. Ian Hilmer has 5 albums released to date, including his most recent release, 2015's Drivestation, recorded by and named after the group.
Won't last. I got my hands up. Loud and crashing in the west, bringing the rain at last. Well, at first we feel blessed, but the feeling won't last. Well, I got my hands up. I've got my hands up on a beach of white, just a grain of sand, trying to hold back the tide. But I don't think I can. I've got my hands up. I've got my hands up. Yes, I give up. Crashing in the west, bringing the rain at last. Well, at first we felt blessed, but the feeling didn't last. I've got my hands up. 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 Yes, I give up.
All right, once again, tonight on the Whitewall Sessions, we are here with Ian Hilmer and Drivestation from Minneapolis. Once again, we want to thank you guys for coming in and sharing some really cool music with us.
Thank you.
All right. So how about first things first here? We'll have Ian introduce each member of the band, tell us what the instruments they play.
All right, well, right here is Neil Gunn. He plays keys and accordion, an all-around Scotsman.
That's right. It's an international lineup here.
We have Scott Yankee on bass guitar and Pat Dalton on the drums.
All right, so how long have you had this 4 musicians in the lineup now?
Well, actually, you could say 2 years now. Well, actually, longer. But we spent a year doing another project and then a year recording this album. So now we're out promoting that. So a year.
Right.
with this lineup. But with Scott, the bass player, we've been playing for 20 years off and on.
All right, how did you find these particular musicians?
Well, I found him in college. Hey, where was that? Where were you working?
Flyer on the dorm.
Oh.
I just lost a bunch of money at Mystic Lake. And I came home and there was a flyer.
Nice.
And then I knew Pat through other bands and Neil through other bands. So I asked Ian, because he had played with the same musicians for a long time, recorded several albums with pretty similar lineups, and I kind of wanted to take his songs and been playing with him for so long. I kind of felt like I could put a band together for him, and I really wanted to. And he gave us a lot of control on his album, which is pretty rare for a singer-songwriter. So that was really cool. He let us kind of take the songs and do with what we want. So I think he likes it.
I'm a nice guy.
Or he trusts us, one of the two.
I got to ask you, Neil, how long you been in America now?
I've been here 5 years now, so.
And do you have your papers?
Yeah, we'll need to see a green card here before we can put you on TV.
It was checked before I came in the door.
Did you come over here actually to play music, or did you come over here to work?
For a bunch of different things, but I guess the thing about moving to Minneapolis was, once I moved there, I was really surprised by just the music scene around there, and just a great number of musicians, and met some great folks to play with. So it's been a fun few years.
All right, cool. Well, let's go around the horn here, starting with Ian. Did you grow up in a musical family, and when did you actually start playing music yourself?
My father played country, so he made a 45 back in the 80s with Freddie Fender. So I grew up with him playing parties. And
Where was this? Where'd you grow up in? Where was
that?
That
was in Texas.
Okay.
But I've lived in Wisconsin, Minnesota most of my life. But yeah, other than that, I was actually raised with my mother, and she's not musical, but I stole her boyfriend's guitar and went to my room and learned how to play. And I always wanted to be in a band. That's from day one. So.
Did you start writing music right away, or did you play covers and go that
16,
route?
I wrote my first few songs, and people were like, "Hey, you should play at this party," and I was too nervous. But they would force me to play, and that got me in front of people. So 16 was when I first started playing for people.
Right.
But I was 20 when I started getting paid for it, which is with Scott here.
All right. Speaking of Scott, how about you? Did you grow up in a musical family, or?
No. I was the only one in my immediate family that played a lot of music, but I had an aunt that taught piano. So very early on, I would play her piano, and I had to wait because I was too short and small to play, and they made me wait till I grew up taller before they'd give me lessons. So, but I started in second grade playing music, and then guitar in third grade, and went on from there. But found the bass eventually, and it's way cooler than guitar. So.
Did you play like a lot of high school punk rock band type stuff?
Garage band, Black Crowes and Pearl Jam.
Okay.
I was in high school in like 92, 94, so it's all Black
cool.
Crowes and Pearl Jam and stuff like that.
Not a bad start.
When they were cool.
Right. How about Pat Dalton? What did you do early on for music?
Yes, my father and mother both were musicians and were touring around when they were younger through Nevada and California mostly, and then came back to the Midwest and had us. And so my father's a upright bass player, and he always encouraged music early on. So there was a old Slingerland kit that showed up when I was pretty young, and from there it was just good times.
So it's always been drums for you, pretty much?
It's always been drums for me, yeah.
All right, that's cool.
If you have instruments around the house and you have kids, that makes musicians. That's the moral of the story, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. They're going to pick them up.
Yep.
No question. You don't have to encourage them. They'll want to try it out, you know. All right, and last but not least, how about you, Neil?
It started pretty early on in life. I guess my mum and dad loved music, but didn't play anything. My mum sang a lot, but I was very close with my grandfather, who was one of those people who could just pick up any instrument under the sun and play it. So I had an accordion strapped to me pretty early in life, and I've just been lucky enough to tour all over the place playing, and it's a real international language, music, whatever the language of the country is. So it's been a great experience playing music all over the place and meeting new people.
When you were in Scotland, did you go over to England and play?
Not too often.
Pretty much just right there.
A lot of playing in Scotland, a lot of playing in Ireland. I played some traditional Scottish and Irish type stuff as well. All over Europe and the US and Canada.
Except England.
Except England.
All right, I'm not going to ask why that. We're going to just leave that.
Goes way back. We had a little vote for independence last year in Scotland, which unfortunately didn't quite go the right way. But
did you think that was going to pass, or did you not?
I was on a knife edge for a while. So within 10 years, it'll be an independent country. Right. So mark my words.
All right. Cool. Well, you guys are out now touring around on Drivestation, the newest album. But before we get to that, this is not your first album release, Ian.
No.
So tell us a little bit about, some of the other ones. Or
my first band was with Scott. It was called The Void. We did one album. We were all young, and
it sounds like it.
We did, yeah.
What kind of music would you describe that as?
Well, actually, people when they hear it, we thought it would be a lot harder because the name was The Void. Mm-hmm. But it was mellow 3-chord songs with a heavy drum beat and some backups. But other than that, we did that for a while, and we did one album. We recorded I think a live one as well.
Yes, we did record a live one.
And then after that, the band had moved to Texas to form a different band, and I went on to a thing called the Wheat Kings, which I just kind of found musicians to play my songs, basically. And then I started a band called Stage Fright, which actually started as a bluegrass kind of setup with stand-up bass, and that morphed into a full band. We recorded an album with that called Kickin' Time Cross Country. I recorded another one called From Ourselves, and another live recording. Yeah, and I did that for a while. And then for a long time, I wasn't recording or didn't release any of them. I just recorded them. So I don't really have that many albums.
So all these different lineups, though, were just different approaches to your songs that you've written?
Some of these songs were recorded several different ways, with different through time. Like the title song, Drivestation, I wrote years ago, but I never felt right getting it on an album. Didn't fit on an album. It was always the one I pushed aside. And finally, with this group, we got it, I think.
You're like the wall of China. You're like the lean to Pisa. You're amazing. You're like the light from the stars. You're not like every passing car. You're amazing to me. Ooh. Don't try to hide it, be honest. I know you're terribly modest. You're amazing. You're like the Mona Lisa, the pyramid in Giza. Simply amazing. The Taj Mahal at sunset. You are the verse I'll never forget. You're amazing to me. Ooh. Don't try to hide it, be honest. I know you're terribly modest. You're amazing.
To hear more on these artists, as well as other artists featured on the program, visit www.thewhitewallsessions.com. Whitewall Sessions Radio is produced by Spectrum Films. Executive producers are Doug Taylor and Jeff Zuger. Director of Broadcast is Dave Palmer. Whitewall Sessions Radio is produced and mixed by Chad Conrad. I'm your host, Steve Zastro. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to join us next week, same time, same station.
You're listening to the Whitewall Sessions Radio.